Ciao, and welcome to SimpleItalianCooking.com. My name is Liz, and I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so excited to do this video because I don't do a lot of baking because my confidence level is pretty low. Every time I bake, it turns out terrible. But I really tried hard with this recipe because I wanted to do an Italian dessert, and this one I chose is an Italian lemon cake. And the recipe is so simple and it is so easy, and I've made it multiple times now, and it has turned out awesome. So I know that if I can do it, you can do it, and it doesn't take long in terms of prep and all that. I mean, you got to bake it and all that, but so we're just going to go through the steps really easy and simply and follow along. I know you're going to love this recipe. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, first step is you got to have a cake pan. I'm using a spring form pan. Whether or not you have parchment paper or not, you need to put melted butter, brush it all on the inside. So that's what we're going to do first. So if you're using parchment paper, put a little bit of melted butter on the bottom so that the parchment paper will stick. And then we cut the, after we cut the paper and everything, we put it in, and then we just brush the insides all with melted butter. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so the pan is all buttered up. Wonderful. If you're wondering how much butter you need in order to do this, I did about a tablespoon. That's probably a little bit too much, but you know what? Just be real liberal with it, because this is why. You're not just going to leave it buttered. What you have to do is you have to coat it with some flour. So this is kind of fun, and it's also kind of messy, so you want to do it over the sink. But just take some butter, take some flour, just a little bit, and you want to sprinkle it in here, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to do this. Of course, like I said, do it over the sink, but I'm doing this so you can see it. I'll clean it up. And you just do this, and then you pat it. Once it's all covered, get out all the excess. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to finish this up over here. Okay, so this looks really nice. It's got a nice white floured feel. I just went like this, kind of tap it, gets off the excess, and then just dump it in the sink. So now what we want to do, this is done, out of the way. Let's put it aside along with the flour, because now we have to cream some butter and sugar. Okay, to cream the butter and the sugar, you can use either a stand mixer like I have here, or you can use a hand mixer, okay? Either way is completely fine. All you want to do is blend the ingredients, and some recipes will say, oh, do it, when you cream it, it's supposed to come out nice and fluffy and white. Probably not going to happen with this because we're using a smaller batch. We're only using a half of a stick of butter, okay? Which is not really a lot when you're doing a cake. And that's fine, because this is a nice mild, this is not going to taste like a lemon meringue pie. Don't think of it like that. This is a lemon cake. And we're going to use a half a cup of sugar, which I saw a lot of recipes that called for like 1.5 cups. Completely unnecessary. So a half a cup, that's all you need. Add in the butter. And if you are using a stand mixer, you want to use this attachment, okay? It's a beater something or rather attachment thing. Like I said, I don't do a lot of baking. But anyway, this is the one you want to do, and you're probably going to have to stop it a few times and scrape it and get the paste off of there. That's fine. Just do it until it's all done. It'll just take a few minutes. Okay, I just want to show you how it looks. You can see inside it's more like a paste, and it's not real runny or anything like that, and that's completely fine. So the point is it's all mixed, it's creamed together is the term. So we'll go ahead and put that there. All right, now we're going to mix our dry ingredients. Super easy because there's only 2. So we have 2 teaspoons. And by the way, this is the best measuring spoon because it's like an all-in-one. It comes apart so it's easy to clean. And you just stick it in here, and it goes from 1 tablespoon all the way up to half a teaspoon. Really cool. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay. And we're going to do about 1.25, 1.5 cups of flour, give or take. Okay, and using a whisk if you have one. If not, just use a spoon or a fork or whatever you have. And just give it a good stir so it gets all mixed together. Okay, so our dry ingredients are set aside, they're out of the way. Now we want to deal with the wet ingredients. So we're going to crack 2 eggs, and you're going to put them in a bowl, and very slowly you're going to add them one at a time. So you add one egg while this is mixing. I'm not going to do it while it's mixing because then you might not be able to hear me. You're going to let the egg fall in, let it blend. Okay, you'll know when it's all blended because it'll just be all together. So, and then once that's done, you let the second egg drop in and blend that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I want to show you what it looks like with the egg in there. Okay, so you want to make sure, just in case, because sometimes this happens with the stand mixer, at least mine, the sugar doesn't blend all the way because it gets caught down there. So you just want to make sure that that's in there and incorporate it, maybe give it another stir like I will probably do. So, but we want to get the rest of our ingredients together. And what that is a 1/4 cup of whole milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, if you only have like imitation vanilla, double it, I would say, just to add more flavor, because when you use like the real vanilla extract, it's much more potent. So that's what I would do. And then you want 1/4 cup of lemon juice. You can use if you have a real lemon, go ahead and use a lemon with a little bit of zest, and you can squeeze the lemon, but really that comes to about 1/4 cup, and this is what I have on hand, and so this is what I'm using, and it turns out great. Okay, so I'm going to add the 1/4 cup of milk. All right, and add the 1/4 cup of lemon juice, fresh or from the bottle. And last but certainly not least, go ahead and add your teaspoon of vanilla extract. And now let's go ahead and blend everything together. So, but anyway, everything's blended nicely. It looks great. And now, remember the dry ingredients? We need to add those in, and just add a little bit at a time so flour doesn't go all over the place, and just mix it in until it's a nice, creamy, beautiful batter. Okay, so we have this beautiful batter here that is thick, and we want to add it into our floured pan. And this smells so wonderful because you can smell that vanilla and you can smell the lemon, and it just smells so good. And you know, there's a reason why the Italians would equate food and love, because, you know, love in general, whether you're in love or just love whatever, it makes you so happy and it makes you feel good, and that's what food is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to be enjoyed, and that's what Italian cooking, in my opinion, does. And even this recipe, especially this recipe, because I just can't help stop smiling looking at it. Okay, so I have the batter added, and now what you want to do using your spatula or the back of a spoon, whatever you have, is go ahead and spread it around because you want it to be as even as possible. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you want to make sure that you preheat the oven to 350. The batter looks great, and it is nice and smooth, and it's in there. So now we just put it in the oven, and we're going to cook it we're going to do it for 30 minutes at 350. And you test it by sticking a toothpick in it, and if it comes out nice and dry, that's great. If not, put it in for another 5. So that took approximately about 35 minutes. I think it was like 33. And this is what it looks like. Now keep in mind, this cake is only going to be about this thick, so maybe like an inch high, and that's exactly what you want. So yeah, you know, I tested it with a toothpick and it comes out super clean. So we're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes, okay? All right, it's been about 10 minutes, and so this is now cool to the touch. So what we want to do is you want to take a wire rack, and we're going to actually flip this. We want to have it upside down so the top of the cake is actually on the bottom. Now this is, I'm using a pizza rack. You can use a cookie sheet, whatever you want, and it just helps to collect some of the crumbs, and it'll also catch any extra confectioner's sugar that we're going to put on at the end. So that's what I'll do. And you can see this is where the parchment paper comes in really handy because it came right out of the pan, so you don't have to worry about the cake sticking. And the parchment paper just comes right up, and that's because we put all that butter on it. So, okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're actually going to let this cool for I don't know, maybe 25, 30 minutes, however long it takes to get cool to the touch. And really, if you're not serving it anytime soon, don't bother putting the confectioner's sugar on it until you're ready to serve it, because it'll just dissolve after a few hours. It's not gonna stay white. So just a little tip there. The cake is now nice and cool. So if you don't have, I really recommend having this size strainer in the house. In your kitchen. It comes in handy so many times. You wouldn't think it would, but it really does. And this is a perfect example, because we want to sift the sugar over the cake, and then we want to serve it and eat it. Now, if you're wondering how much confectioner's sugar to use, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong answer. I tend to do more. Other people, I'm sure, do less. Just remember that confectioner's sugar does dissolve and go into the cake, so if you go to bed at night and there happens to be any left, in the morning when you wake up, it's not going to have that white powdery look like it does right now. So I really hope that you try this recipe. It is so easy, and like I said, if I can do it, I know you can do it. It is so moist. It tastes great. It's great for the holidays. It's great for any day, in my opinion. So make sure to check out my website at simpleitaliancooking.com. Sign up for my newsletter. You'll get more free recipes and information about cool kitchen gadgets and appliances that I like to write about and do product reviews on. So thank you again, and have a wonderful time making, baking, and eating Italian lemon cake. Grazie e ciao.